Welcome everybody, my name's Scott Hebbard from Sparx Systems, and today once again we're looking at our urban parking system repository. Now today we're going to be looking at expert level sequence diagrams in Enterprise Architect. I'm joined today by Stephen Maguire, who's going to step us through some of the expert features in sequence diagrams and is going to show us how it all works in Enterprise Architect. If you haven't seen some of the previous videos in our series, the introduction, the intermediate and advanced videos are also available in this series. So welcome, Stephen. How are you today?
Very well, thank you, Scott, and thank you for the introduction. Let's make a start with this topic of expert sequence diagrams. So as always, I like to start with my perspective. Up in the top right-hand corner, we have a list of perspective sets, and underneath each one of those, we have perspective. I've been doing some strategic modeling this morning, and I'm now going to focus on UML behavioral diagrams, which sets the scene for our sequence diagram. The sequence diagram, as you remember, is a type of interaction diagram, which is a type of behavioral diagram. We have the model builder popping up here, and we have a number of different patterns that are available for sequence diagram modeling, including things like lost messages, found messages. I encourage you to look at some of these. You can inject those models directly into your repository by clicking on the Create Model button, and there is a series of documentation and things of interest that you might find useful when you're working with that model. I like to do things from first principles, Scott, so let's close this builder page and let's make a start. In previous videos, we looked at a number of different sequence diagrams. I'm going to go to the behavioral models node of my project browser there, and you can see there under interaction models, I've got sequence diagrams. We have a number of different sequence diagrams we did in previous models, so let's have a look at this one here, which is a simple one, the process card payments model. We've also got our one that we did for the more intermediate level, where we looked at different types of messages. And then also we went into another one, which is our parking reservation, where we looked at this in the advanced topic. We're going to add a couple of things to this diagram now. Now, I just want to say from the outset of this that the sequence diagram is incredibly rich. There are so many different options that are available as part of the sequence diagram. And Enterprise Architect does, a really first-class job on implementing lots of the subtleties within this diagram type. So it's going to do quite a lot of work for you, but there is, always with Enterprise Architect, the flexibility to take charge of the diagram yourself and do particular things with it. So let's have a look now and follow through, where what we've been up to. So we looked in the previous advanced topic here of putting in a component, and the component has an exposed interface, and that's the same with all of these ones here. And remember, just a quick reflection back, finding all diagrams in all diagrams there, we can see it's in a component diagram as well, and that's describing the relationship between the component, the interface, and the exposed interface there. So I'm not going to dwell on that, but go back and look at that video if you haven't seen it, and you'll see how that makes our life doing these diagrams a lot easier. What I want to introduce now, Scott, is the fragment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a fragment here, now just to set the scene. When someone's making a parking booking, the space that they want to book, or in the zone that they want to be on, the level that they want to be on, according to their preferences, might be close to the elevators because they might have some some disability, something. So if they request that, the system can return the fact that it's either available and they can book a particular space. It might be overbooked, or it might be unavailable. So the overbooked is like, well, there are 180 spaces on that level with your preferences, but there's 183 people booked. So it's overbooked, but it's not unavailable. In the next case, there might be that it's unavailable, and that might be that you can't book it at all because there are 180 spaces and there are 300 people on the waiting list. So we're not going to take any more reservations. So let's have a look how we can work with this. let's put in a fragment. Now this is a little rectangle that will pop up in the diagram, and we've got, it's called an interaction fragment there. We're going to quickly give that a name, and we're going to call it parking availability.
Yep.
Parking availability, and we will close that. Now you see here, Scott, as always, as an expert modeler, you should be familiar with this now. There's a panel now with that selected called combined fragment, right? The name there, I'm just gonna, it should have defaulted to that, and it doesn't. The model's there. I want to call that at a model level, but I also want to call that the name level. So it's just refreshed that as I've opened it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a number of conditions in here. So the first one is available. Yeah, and so I'll save that. The next new one is overbooked. Save that. And the third one there is, I'll hit. Yeah, no, that's all right. It's already defaulted to new. It's unavailable.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I'll save that. So now you can see what's happened down here is that it's put this thing into a number of different regions there, if you like. So what we can do is, I'm going to move this one over a little bit to give ourselves some more room. But we've got 3 different situations. So now let's put some messages in from our reservation system into our motorist parking record. And so let's do that, and we'll put in a one, and we'll call it reserve space. So let's just put that directly in. I don't know that we've got that listed, set record locator. No, let's just put reserve space in there, reserve parking space, and save that. And you can see that message is there. I'm going to move that down into this region here. And let's put another message in here. And we'll select that, and we'll go across to our there. And this one will say waitlist.
Yeah.
Waitlist space. And that one's gone in, and we want to move this one down into the overbooked one. Yeah. So you notice, Scott, in a previous video, we talked about the fact that on the layout ribbon on the helpers panel, there's an option there to say reorder messages. So without that checked, I couldn't be moving those messages around. So just recall that if you have trouble moving your messages around, it's because Enterprise Architect is trying to make sure that everything is kept in sync and in order, and it's going to prevent you from doing that. So let's put another one in here now, and we'll say there, and we'll call it for this one, that message selected, we'll call it cancel reservation. So you might have started part of that reservation process putting your name in and things, and we're going to put that down into the unavailable one there. So very useful thing, Scott. I can select this here, and we can move that up or down to make some more space, and just do that. I can use the shift, holding the shift key down and using my arrow keys. Now, the other thing is that you can use these alternate fragments together. So if we looked at this alternate fragment, which is or this fragment, which we're calling alternate there, you see that there's a number of other different options. There's this, options one, a break, parameter, loop, critical, all sorts of other things. So let's just drop another fragment onto the screen. Let's imagine that this person's, booking for, I don't know, a regular event. So they might be going to a tennis game. They might be taking their child to a tennis game on a Saturday, and they want to make a booking ongoing. So they might want to choose a different, a different parking particular situation. So let's put that one and put this around this fragment here. And let's have a look at this one here, and let's give that a name. We'll do the same thing. Book, call this book. places. So you might be booking it for friends as well. So that might be the case as well. Go into our combined fragment. We'll just click off that for a minute. Go into our combined fragment, and that should just have refreshed there in a minute. Let's put that in anyway. It's not that one. Element parking spaces, and change that. So now it's not an alt, but we want to have a loop, right? And what's the condition now? The condition is, you know, all spaces reserved, for example, and we'll save that. So you can see now that we've used these two different fragments. One's a loop fragment, and you can see that loop is written up there in the top corner, and the condition is there, all spaces reserved. And within that, we've got this alternate parking. So you might be booking, you know, 4 different sessions. So you're looping through that, and then for each one of those, you wanting to be able to look at, you know, whether you're going to be able to reserve the parking, whether you have to go into a wait list, or whether you're going to cancel the reservation. So, you know, very useful mechanism to be able to make the diagram a lot richer there. So there are a lot of other things in the tool that you can use to enrich these diagrams, and we could probably make a video for a couple of hours, Scott, without without covering all of the topics. So what I want to do is I'm going to put another message in here, and we'll just call this check availability, and I'll call this message, you know, check priority, something like that. Check priority parking. So ideally, if you're doing these things, it would be good to put them into the interface as well, if that's the way that you want to work. But just so that we can you know, look at this, we can do this. But a lot of other options on the context menu here, Scott. So we've got, you know, activation, start new message group, etc. Branch from previous message. So if I look at that one, and you can see now that brings that message out of that branch. So two things are going to go on sort of as a result of that at that activation point there. And I can turn that off if I want to. I don't want to branch there. I can put in the timing details that we showed in previous things. So I can go, look, let's have a look at that. I can drag that down from there onto that line. Just do that again. And I'm not getting that right. So let's just do that again. I think I'm not dropping it properly. Let's do that. Yeah, here we go. Duration. I'm going to call that 1400 milliseconds. With that little thing, Scott, you can see that, you know, you've got the ability to scroll. So I wasn't quite putting my cursor right on the spot, but what you can do is, you know, just scroll in and out
to make it easier.
Get directly into that position. So there's a timing thing that's useful. Remember, time's running vertically, so you can do that. You can put in the that timing constraint there, and lots of other things, lots of other options here. So toggle return, we've looked at that in the previous video. Activations, so I can start new message group. I can do all sorts of different things in that. I can also look at co-regions. So if I look at that, I can say start at head, and you can see that what that's done is it's put in this little little icon there, and I can go down to, you know, another message here, and I'll put in this co-region end at tail, and you can see now that that's an alternative way. Instead of using the fragments, the combined fragments there, you could use these regions as well. So you know, that's a useful thing to do. Lots of other you know, small options here. Activations, I think we just extend source into lots of different options there. What I'm going to do, Scott, is I'm just going to bring the help system onto the screen. I won't give you a minute. Diagrams. Yeah, okay. So let's have a look at this. I encourage you as expert users, that we can't cover everything in this these video series, but a very rich set of descriptions in help, everything to do with sequence diagrams. So denoting life cycle, we looked at that, layout of sequence diagrams, all sorts of options there. You can look at this thing. We've got message numbering as well, so we could turn that on or off. We've got version control, sequence diagram, element activations, life cycles there, messages. So calls, self messages. We talked about those as retroflex ones. Change the timing details. We looked at some of those things as well. So there are lots and lots of things in this help topic about sequence diagrams. So lifeline activation things. So we can you can read about how you can set some of those other activations. So let's just move that off the screen for a minute, Scott, and go back to our diagram. So that is some of the more useful things at an expert level that you might want to do. Now, there are lots of other things like endpoints and diagram gates and state continuations that we could have looked at. One other thing, I guess we'll just look at this preferences here. We'll go into preferences and sequence diagrams again and show sequence numbering. Let's just put that on for a tick. And you can see now that numbering comes in automatically. And you can just turn that on or off, toggle that on and off from the preferences window. But that can be quite helpful. Remember, again, we can suppress our activations, keep those hidden a bit if we want to, turn those back on again. But I encourage you to look at the help system. Any expert users wanting to get a better feel for this. There are so many other aspects to this diagram. One of them is that we can point Enterprise Architect at a stack trace or something like that running system, and it can automatically draw these sequence diagrams from from the actual code. So that's an extremely powerful thing to do as well. And Scott, they're incredibly flexible. Just as a wind up, I had a friend that asked me to model the choreography for one of Tchaikovsky's ballets in as a sequence diagram, and it was a very interesting thing to do. It's not not a corporate example, nothing to do with parking, but the take-home message with that is that there is a huge amount of flexibility to use them for all sorts of things, describing use cases, describing all sorts of other things like, it might be deployment sequences or anything like that. They don't just have to be limited to the business. So anyway, Scott, that's it for this topic on expert sequence diagrams.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Stephen. It's been great to look at fragments and look at some of the other expert features. We encourage everyone to have a look at the Sparx Systems YouTube channel if you want to see some of the previous videos in this series. And there are hundreds of videos that look at the urban parking system and break it down and show how you can model in Enterprise Architect. So we encourage you to look at some of those other videos if you'd like to learn more. As always, if you would like some training or consulting, you can reach out to Stephen via his LinkedIn details or his credentials that are listed in the video below. Thank you very much for your time, Stephen. Great hearing from you. Great to see sequence diagrams and how flexible and powerful they are, and look forward to future videos.
Always a pleasure, Scott.